direct response and social media marketing podcast for bootstrapping entrepreneurs. Happy to have you join us. My name is Ian Utilli, Jarrell Hall. We got Mike here as our guest, and Aaron. So we're gonna have a great day.
Oh yeah.
You guys introduce yourselves.
Well, like you said, I am Jarrell. I am the producer, Gorilla. Hang out with this loud guy all the time. You know, here with Mike today. I'm actually really excited to see this guy because I've watched a lot of your stuff. You know, especially
cool.
Barbell Shrugged. Of course, Ian, as always. Not Ian. Sorry, Aaron. I'm mixed up. It's early.
Ian, Aaron.
It's early.
You okay,
bro? No, I'm not really. You got the thumb in front of me. I'm nervous. You know, I don't know what to do with this thing right now. So yeah, what's up?
Bend over and I'll show you.
Oh, really? It's too early for that.
Actually,
Mike,
we don't want to get into explicit rating.
please introduce yourself.
Are we trying to stay away from explicit ratings on this?
We are actually.
We are? Oh.
Yeah, we're for the most part.
We already started with that.
I'll give Mike a little mini intro here since I know
do.
pretty well. You know, Mike's a good friend of mine. He's you probably, if you're involved in the exercise, functional fitness, CrossFit space at all, you probably know who this guy is. He's definitely a celebrity in that space. He's probably most well known for the Barbell Shrugged podcast. It's coming up on 80,000 opt-in subscribers to that, and they travel all over the world to interview some of the top people in CrossFit and in Olympic lifting, powerlifting. He owns a couple CrossFit boxes out in Memphis. They've got the Barbell Business podcast, which teaches young bootstrapping business owners, gym owners, how to run a successful business, as well as his own personal podcast, Bledsoe, which is very interesting to hear his views on different topics. And they also have a variety of information products that they sell that help people in various areas of health and fitness. But anything else you want to add to that, Mike?
Yeah, in addition to like all the marketing stuff we do with the podcast, we have the business end on that. We have, a lot of one-off information products, like digital information products, courses for coaches. But we have a lot of continuity products or subscription-based model where we coach athletes during these programs and they pay on a monthly basis. So the majority of our revenue that we create is actually really consistent. And then the one-off products kind of, produce a little bit of that. And I really like that as our business model is having the majority of the revenue be subscription-based.
Yeah.
Because that gives you that nice consistent month-to-month. So when you got to pay salaries.
Right. And so that's a good transition. You mentioned salaries. I've been watching these guys and their podcast for a little over a year now and watching them really grow and explode on the scene. And they're experiencing hyper growth. I mean, I think you guys grew 10 times. In what you did 12 months ago, and you're continuing on that trajectory. And we're all about 10x growth around here. So as you've grown, you've had to add a lot more members to the team, and they've got members all around the country that are on the
world now.
Yeah, around the world.
We had our first
on
UK hire.
Oh yeah, good.
Okay.
They're on the Barbell team. So I've never seen a group of individuals really coalesce and come together in such a good way, and I think part of that is around how you guys handle your hiring and your interview process. So today we wanted to focus this 30-minute episode, really around team building, because it's something I think that a lot of young entrepreneurs, especially a startup in startup mode, you don't really think about. You're like, oh, well, we need this role filled, and you put a little ad on Craigslist, and a couple people apply, and you're like, happy somebody's actually interested in your job, and you hire the first thing that comes along, and as we all know, that can lead to a major disaster, not only financially but stress-wise. So building the right team is essential. So Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about your team, your guys' philosophy, and how you approach that subject?
Yeah, first you mentioned like mishires. When you hire someone and they're not the right fit, not only are they going to do a poor job, not doing what you want them to do, but they're going to drag the rest of the team down. And they're going to cost you a lot more than just their salary. Think about their salary, and it depends on like if they're management or not. If they're management, you might as well just multiply that by 10, and that's how much money you lost. And then but if they're at a lower level, then then it might just be the salary that you're losing. But the higher they make up that chain. And this hire, that just starts exponentially getting very expensive. I actually like to talk about, before we even talk about hiring, is talk about how to organize the team in the first place. Because I think that if you don't identify what you need in your business first, then you don't know who you're looking for to hire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we use a system called Holacracy for our organizational management.
Spell it.
HOLACRACY. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to holacracy.org. We adopted that. I started paying attention to that about a year ago. It kind of came up on the radar. And I started looking into it, started watching some webinars, got really interesting. It's kind of, you try to like, what it allows you to do is have everyone in your organization have a voice.
Okay.
So everyone is kind of familiar with extroverts versus introverts, right? And so the extrovert, like myself, tend to overpower conversations.
You? Really?
We have one here.
I've been quiet for so long. Like 3 or 4 minutes, I haven't said anything. It's a record.
Maybe I'm more of an extrovert. I don't know. Now it's going to be a competition.
We'll have fun today.
Not everyone has a voice, because the introvert's sitting there and they're like, and I'm the CEO of the company and I'm in a meeting and somebody, they're the process manager or something like that, and they're thinking, well, Mike is telling us we got to do it like this, so we just have to do that. Yeah. And that's the old way of going about things.
Yeah.
And this is not just a system for having meetings, but that's the biggest part. Is it teaches you and it teaches your whole team how to have meetings where everybody is heard. If somebody is feeling attention, every person in your business should be part of your brand, and they have a feel for what's happening with the customers. I don't interact with our customers nearly as much as the rest of our team does.
Right.
Okay.
And so they're getting that daily interaction. They go, I feel we really need to fix this in the business.
Okay.
And the way that we run through the Holacracy is it's kind of like one of those things where you're holding a stick so you get to talk type of thing in the meeting.
Okay.
But we do it in a way that it's all online. So it's very obvious. Everyone has to, when you come on the team, you have to learn how the meetings are run.
Okay.
So I think most people join an organization, they jump in, and meetings are just kind of run free-for-all almost.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it takes a new employee like 6 weeks to even figure out how they should interact in a meeting. So they're in the meeting and they start talking like, whoa. All right, just wait your turn. And we got to remind them like, hey, we're not jumping on you. We know you don't know.
Yeah.
But just sit back and watch for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when we do hire, we really give someone like 90 days of leeway.
Okay.
Like I don't expect much of anybody first 90 days. Because we move fast in addition to that. Like we're a fast growing company, and for them just to like grasp what's happening as a whole, it takes a while.
You said a little something a minute ago that basically saying employees are extensions of our brand. I think it's a real interesting philosophy to take, and I remember you first said that at the mastermind event that you guys held a few weeks back in Southern California, and I had written it down at that time, and it really does put a different mindset when you're going out to hire an individual, saying, well, they are a brand representative, and not only that, I think you said something around, all employees have a license to sell, meaning not only are they a representative of my brand, but everybody on our team is a salesperson, potentially.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, right now we're sitting at 15 people on our staff for our main business, and my mentality when I make a hire at this point is they're going to make 8% of our brand. That every individual, obviously some of us have stronger voices than others, but again, they're the ones that are also, because brand building for me isn't so much about like the megaphone as it is, what are we feeling? What's the information we're getting from our audience and our members and our customers? And so that's more about kind of like market research should drive your products and services.
Yeah.
The people in your business should be driving your brand in a way.
Do you take that to the digital space? So it's one thing like traditional, get everybody a business card, right? Get everybody a title. Today we're kind of like getting away from titles, right? But now it's transitioned to like maybe if everybody's, let's say 8% of your brand or 12% whatever, it ends up being however you look at kind of how you break it up. Do you make everybody have a LinkedIn page? Do you control what's on there? Do you make everybody have a Twitter page? Do you control what's on there?
No.
If not, do you think that's a good idea? Is that a bad idea? How do you integrate the digital, outer spectrum that people are going to engage with your company? And are you even mindful of it, or what is your recommendation to the people?
I am mindful of it, and what I do is, the way I see it is, I believe in having a lot of autonomy, because that's one of the pieces of happiness and fulfillment for an employee, is that autonomy. And so if they feel it's important that I let them do it, and their personal social media is their thing. Sure. We do have a team social media, like, for the business, but that goes into the hiring. I am so careful about who I hire that they are in line with our purpose and, like, at heart, like, their heart is in line with our purpose so much that I know that whatever they're going to put on social media is going to be good. It's good. Yeah, they're part of the voice, you know. Sometimes I interview people and I go, they're just not going to have the same voice as me. They're not in line with what we have. And so, like, anyone on the team could probably write copy or something like that, and it would jive, and they go, oh, that's Barbell Shrugged. You know, because they have, you know, they're congruent, they have that voice. And for our team social media, for the business, we have one person who's responsible for social media. I can't even post them on social media. I mean, I could, technologically, I could go ahead and do that, but then I deserve to get slapped for it. All right, so what we do is, we don't hire for job titles, right? I don't say, okay, we need this person. We used to. You know, we used to create a job title and then create accountabilities underneath that. What we do is we find roles, very specific roles within the business. And I probably hold like 5 roles in my company. And one of my employees might hold 15, they may hold 1, but they hold these roles, and so they're holding roles instead of job descriptions. And they might have like 2 roles in marketing and 3 in product creation or something like that. So one person for every part of the business, one person is not only responsible for that, and responsibility is like handed out like candy with most organizations, but we give them authority as well. And so they're able to make the decisions. And so they have that autonomy, they have that authority. So if something goes out on social media, it doesn't have to be run by me. Well, oh, is this okay to put out, Mike? No. That guy makes that decision. He has the authority to post that. And if he, you know, consistently does something I feel is not right, then we can take that role away from him. Pretty much the only thing that I'm allowed to do as a CEO is to take roles away from people. And go, you're not the right person for this job. I'm moving to somebody else, right? And so, but everything else is pretty much being decided by other people. So our brand really is our people, because they don't just have responsibility, they have the authority to make the decisions and to do things.
So what do you look for in terms of personality traits, in terms of selecting these roles, not even from the hiring process, but even ongoing?
It's definitely ongoing. Yeah. Because I try to identify personality traits during the interview process, and we're pretty good about that. But definitely there's people that are on the team already that, you know, I start going, oh, they're actually really good at this thing over here. But they didn't know it. Or they start seeing the business doing something. They see a need, and they go, this happened to me a couple weeks ago. One of my guys was like, I really see a need for this role to be created, and I think I'm the perfect person to fill that need. And so I didn't even create the role. I was like, why don't you do this? Why don't you write up that role, the accountabilities that it would have. That employee created that role, everything. He brought it to, we have 2 different types of meetings in Holacracy when we use that. We have governance meetings and tactical meetings. Tactical meetings are every week. Governance meetings are once a month. And I was like, bring it up in the governance meeting. Governance meeting comes along and goes, I want to create this role, I want to fill it. And all of us that were in the meeting were like, yay or nay. We all vote on it, say yay, and then he goes, that role is created, and now he gets to fill that role, and that's part of his duties. I didn't have to think of that role, I didn't have to do anything. That's people in our business, in our company, thinking of things. They're ahead of me on all these things. And that's how we can be agile and move fast.
When you do have a role and you can't fill it internally, can you walk us through what's the hiring process look like? Are you putting out to your existing list? Are you putting it out on Craigslist? What tools are you using to screen those people? And I know you've got some nice stuff from it.
It kind of depends. Like there's certain roles like coaching or something like that. So we're a fitness business. We have a lot of coaching. And I know if I put out to my list of like 80,000 people, hey, I have a coaching position.
Right,
Here's a link to the application. Fill it out. I know I'm going to get 100,000, more than what's on the list. You're going to send it to their friends too.
Yeah.
We'll get too many to sort through. And the coach is somebody who is having daily interact. Their job is all day, every day interacting with our customers.
Nice.
So I'm always mining, and I'm always reminding our team in meetings. About once a month, I put out a reminder like, hey, have your ears and eyes open for anyone who you might think is not just knowledgeable, but cool.
Yeah.
We want a cool, knowledgeable person. If you can think of anyone who you really like and who you think would bring something to the team, let me know, and I'll put them on our virtual bench.
Okay.
So we're always maintaining a virtual bench of potential hires, especially with something like coaches where that is that high interaction.
Yeah.
I personally like to have a lot of time with them before I decide to hire them, and I don't like to just throw an application up there. There are some other jobs where there's a lot of roles where it's very internal. They don't have as many. They're not as outward facing in the business. They're more inward facing, and and it's not as glamorous of a job. So for the not so glamorous jobs, I can blast it out to my list.
Sure.
You know, like, hey, 80,000 people. If you think you'd be really good at this, and some of these jobs, like me being the personality type I have, I'm like, nobody wants that job. No one wants it. No one wants.
You still get 500 applicants.
Yeah, nobody wants to bookkeep and run the numbers and create spreadsheets. I'm like, nobody wants to do that.
All of a sudden,
I think that, but I don't want to do it.
2,000 emails. Oh wait. Hold on.
like we put one out like a year ago when our list was like 9.5 of what it is now. And we had so many respondents. We were like, wow. And it was so cool to be able to go, we just get it down to 10 people. And then I got on the phone with those 10 people because we use some software I'll talk about here in a second to get that list down really small, really fast.
Nice.
And then before I know it, I've got like 3 or 4 people that I'm interviewing 2 to 4 hours at a time. And I don't waste a lot of my time, and I got the best hire.
Cool.
What's cool about the online business is I can hire someone in Atlanta if I'm in California.
Yes. Yes.
Two bonuses there is, one, you're going to get the very best because you get to search the whole world.
Right.
And number 2 is I don't have to pay somebody as much in Atlanta as if they were in San Jose.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was one of the things I had to choose between 2 people. I got this girl in San Jose. I got to pay her at least $70,000 a year. Whereas the girl in Atlanta, same standard of living for like $30,000 a year.
Exactly.
I mean, no one wants to talk about that because it's like it feels a little dirty.
Notice
maybe,
Mike said he goes out to his list. Remember we had a previous episode on list building, so it's been
everyone should be building a
But
list.
that's actually
all the
a very
time.
key component because talking about the things that no one likes to talk about in business is very important, especially in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You know, everyone wants to do, oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I started my business. It's so cool, it's so pretty, but they don't know about, it's something that we learned with QB Centric called the lonely work. Right. You know, the work when everyone's gone at 5 o'clock and you're still here until 1 o'clock in the morning doing paperwork, you know, writing stuff, doing contracts, bookkeeping, and I know Ian has been dealing with a lot of that craziness lately. You know, stuff like that, and those are things that
It's not all bad.
Yeah.
It means there's money to deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not all bad.
And it's one of those things, and I tell people about that because I'm still a very young entrepreneur. I'm only 28 years old, but I tell people, they say, Dre, you don't sleep. I say, yes, because I constantly have things to do, and it may look pretty when I do all the stuff on
Not
camera.
30, you don't need sleep.
I was 28 again.
Yeah.
You know,
You can sleep in the next life.
You have to use drugs to sleep.
Well, you have to read things like the BEOs and, you know, read through certain applications and have meetings with people that are in Japan or that are in Atlanta who wake up and to you it's 3 o'clock in the morning, but for them it's 7. Right. It's like those things are what kind of give you the grind and the earning, you know, basically earning your keep. Yeah. You know, and it's things like that I like to focus on because no one thinks about that part just yet. They say, I want to start a business, and they say, wait a minute, I haven't slept in 72 hours. This isn't fun. You know?
Dude, I don't know how many. Oh, shit. Oh, so they're gonna. You have to bleep that out.
It's all right. Hey, it's real life. You know? But yeah, it's and talk about things like that a little bit more because I'm glad you brought that up about those hours that no one likes to talk about, especially with team building.
Oh man, you know, it's funny because when we started the podcast, I wanted to start it, and I was trying to get. I knew who I wanted to be a part of it, and getting those people to be a part of it was tough because they didn't see the end of they didn't see the light, the end of the tunnel yet. And so like, for instance, I'll just, my business partner, Doug, on one of our first podcasts, he got up in the middle of the podcast, not on a break, and just walked out.
Oh, Doug, you're getting called out. That's Doug Larson with an L.
He was like, I was like, all right, screw you too, man. We just kept rolling.
That's funny. I'm gonna have to rewind back to that episode.
Hey, well, that was one of those, and that was one of those episodes that never made it. It started off with that exact microphone you guys are using.
Nice.
My buddy and I, Chris, who's actually one of the hosts on the show now, we would go to a coffee shop once a week. We'd put it right in the middle of us, and we would drink coffee, and we would talk about training.
Nice.
And it's like, what are you playing around with now? What am I playing around with now? We did that. I played around with podcasting at least once a week for 3 or 4 months before we got to a point where we had the camera, we had better microphones, we had mapped out discussions and outlines, and there were months and months of me and my friend Chris and my other friend Chris, who we also who's our producer, we call him CTP.
Chris, the producer.
Roping people in, saying, "Hey, you have to be here at this time. Let's get it going. I got a bottle of scotch. If you want,
That's what we're missing.
Incentive.
Well, actually,
you got thumbs up though.
People don't know what's inside of the little mix.
Well, that's funny is the scotch was like something that we used in the beginning.
It's called a hook. For those that are unfamiliar with marketing, that's a hook. That's a hook.
Yeah, I was like, I got some Glenfiddich. Let's do this. And then after a while, after it started picking up, we were like, man, we are way better on coffee than we are on alcohol. We're way more on point. So we ditched it now, but we've gotten so skilled at the podcasting, we reintroduced the scotch. For the podcast where we want to get super passionate about a topic and we want someone to get real honest, we're like, here, have another one. We're interviewing somebody and they're like, and they just start and afterwards man, I don't know if I should have said that. I was like, you should have totally said that. It's gonna make an awesome interview.
Get the truth,
and I don't want to leave this out is the way we do our hiring. We use a system called Top Grading.
Okay.
You can buy the book. It's written by Dr. Brad Smart. He's the one that basically developed the hiring system for GE.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and he's adapted it. It's always been good for small businesses to use, but he basically had to change his marketing to make small businesses feel comfortable with using her system because it can be a little overwhelming. So you can read the book, but they also have licensed software. Okay. So what we do is we license their software once a year, and it allows us to do mass applications. It handles the application process. When someone fills out an application, it auto-fills an interview guide. So I then do an interview. I do a tandem interview. Okay. So me and one of my business partners, we went to the workshop. We learned how this all works. I read the book. I listened to it too. I'm like a top grading nerd. Okay. And that's our hiring process. And so in the beginning, marrying top grading to holacracy, there were some things that didn't match up really well. Okay. Because organizational and management hiring, those should fit together like perfect puzzle pieces. And it didn't in the beginning, and I knew that we were gonna have to make it fit because I believe so strongly in those two systems. Okay. And it took us a while. We adopted top grading in November, December. We adopted holacracy back in April.
We just implemented top grading a week ago. Yeah, we're hiring. We're hiring an employee a month right now. Okay. And so and I look through it and I go, well, this is good because typically the more hoops you make someone jump through, the higher quality candidate you're going to get. Yeah. And I was looking at it, and this is a lot of hoops, and it's a lot of, it's interesting because a lot of the questions are around introspection, kind of self-reflection. How do you think your boss would rate you on a scale of this? Or,
by the way, we're going to call your boss.
Yeah, exactly. And it says that right at the beginning of the application. Cool. It's like a little disclaimer star, we're going to be contacting your past employers. And and the system has the employee contact the past employer and set up the interview with the potential future employee So it's a pretty cool system. And I was like, gosh, we were hiring locally, so I posted a Craigslist ad and blasted it out and linked it to Top Grading. I'm going, gosh, and it's an admin beginning position. Are we gonna get a? I checked it last night. This thing's been live for just a couple days now, 2 days. I've got 90 applicants so far that have filled out. It probably took them an hour each to fill out this.
Wow. At least an hour.
Yeah, at least. Maybe
and
longer.
then throughout the application, it's called TORC, thread of reference check.
Okay.
It's saying, hey, we're not those employers that when you put someone on an application, we don't actually call those references.
Yeah.
Like
We're gonna
they're setting it up, and then during the interview, I set it up. Like throughout the interview, I'm like, oh yeah, well, we're gonna call them. Or it's okay to call that guy, right? And they're like, oh yeah. It's like, okay, well you're gonna set that up. So like the fact that they're gonna set that up makes it very real. And I've even had some people go, they were like really confident, and I'm like, you're setting that up, and I could tell when they realized that it was actually gonna happen. they're like, well, they may say something. Like they're not like trying to preempt.
That's when the truth starts to come out.
So like, the top grading guys call it the truth serum.
Mm-hmm.
And then the interview guide also, like, if you follow it, like, it's over 2 hours long for like the initial interview, and it's like, man, do we really have to hit all these questions? But I had a guy a couple months ago I was interviewing, and it wasn't until the very end. Like, he was looking awesome. Mm-hmm. In the last couple questions, he said some things where I go, no.
Red flag.
Yeah. Not yet. It wasn't just a red flag. It was a flare shot into the sky, and I was like, nope, not happening.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy, but for that position, not gonna happen. Not gonna work.
Well, listen, Mike, great stuff.
I want to ask one last question as we
wrap
wrap up. We are going to wrap up. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
You're going to have to come back soon, man. This is awesome.
Yeah.
We're actually talking to come back again. That'd be great. So here's one question that's practical for bootstrapping entrepreneurs that are thinking about getting to your success, reflecting on similar success that you've had, or even guys and gals that maybe are mentoring people that are kind of in our space. And so the question is, when you bring on staff, there's a couple ways of going about it, right? There's the part-time contractor, the part-time salaried employee. There's the full-time contractor paying by the hour. There's a full-time salaried employee you're expecting maybe 45 or 95 hours a week. How do you approach hiring? Is it the same for a leader, a manager, and a rolling up their sleeves, blocking and tackling worker? Or is it different for every role and every person?
It is a little bit different. There are actually some roles where we can give them contract work.
Yeah.
And we can go, hey, they knock out a few things, and we're like, okay, we really like what this person is doing. Sometimes it's not, the job you need filled. Just you can't do one-off contract work. If it's copywriting, I can have that tested. And that's nice and easy.
Yeah.
And I can do one-off, and then eventually I may hire. Because for me, I always want to move. If somebody's super high quality, I want to move them into just ours. Yeah. Just an employee, and have their full attention all the time. But yes, for certain things you can do that, and I really, if we can do that, we do that.
Yeah.
We have a testing phase.
Okay.
And we put everyone on 90-day probation.
Yeah.
We've had some people intern, I have 2 gyms in Memphis, Tennessee. For those, we run 90-day internship.
Okay.
No pay. Like they really want to work for us.
They pay for you.
Yeah. Like I want blood, sweat, and tears type.
Well, you can also start to leverage your guys' celebrity status too to attract higher quality people that are going to be willing to do more for less, just to be exposed to you and your systems. And
you have universities that are nearby you, wherever you're at. They almost all have internship requirements for a degree.
Yeah.
So reach into those programs whether it be in marketing or whatever niche you're in, that school probably has a program that somewhat matches there. Yeah. If it's not just a business or marketing. Obviously everyone needs marketing.
Yeah.
So you go and you just go to the business school, and then you can dig someone up there. You're gonna be careful with that because you may end up teaching more than you get out of it.
Right.
Because most universities just, they're not exactly producing people who are ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
But Yeah,
those
so
who can't do? No. I would say that.
those who can't teach, write books.
Those who can't teach PE.
Guys, make sure to leave us your questions and comments.
Well, real quick, Mike,
Yes,
what do you got coming up? What do you want to plug? Where
Plug all
can
your
people
stuff.
find out more about
Oh,
you?
yeah. If you're into fitness, check out barbellshrugged.com.
Yes.
If you're into business, check out barbellbusiness.com. If you want to hear my thoughts on the world and personal development and maybe listen to some new music, check out Bledsoe.
If you're a libertarian that likes good music, check out Bledsoe. That's right.
Yeah, Bledsoe.
Yes. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.
Give us a 5-star rating,
yes,
too, if you
5-star
like this
rating.
episode. Please do.
Not just a 5-star rating,
Yes.
but leave a comment.
Yes.
Exactly.
5-star
Comment
rating,
Yes.
positive comment.
Yes.
All right,
Watch us
guys.
on YouTube. Leave questions and comments. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Next week. Later.